Hi, everybody. Welcome to week 2, also known as the beginning of unit 1. I'll get my ones and twos straight in just a second. I'll get it all figured out. A couple little bit of administrative things before I launched into unit 1. One of the things that's on my syllabus or somewhere is that participation points, I don't add them in at the end of a unit. Doesn't count for the first week, all these introductory things you've been doing, looking at perusal and leaving things on the Padlet. This is really for people kind of getting used to the course, getting used to the tools. So if you just join the course, you've got plenty of time to go back and do these things. If you haven't looked at the intros on the Padlet, you should. There's a lot of really interesting, you're a bunch of interesting people. A lot of people who are working and have a lot of different interests. So go over there and take a look, say hello, go back, and if you haven't looked lately, go back and check in and see what everybody's saying, everybody's got, because again, this is a really interesting bunch of people in this class. So again, the points for unit 1, which is like 5 points, not unit 1, but week 1, the introductory stuff, which is 5 points. You don't have to worry about them. It's almost like a freebie 5 points. And you'll get them on the 13th of February, when my initial roster has to go into CUNY first. Other things on my list here. Let's see. Oh, yeah. I think I said when you read through stuff, when you go back and look at the videos or the readings, click on the highlighted things and see what people are saying, and then you can jump into the conversation. It's going to matter in unit 1 because there's a lot of interesting things to read. And conference hours, I'm doing this on Wednesday at about 5:30, and I forgot about conference hours today. I'll do better, I promise. Conference hour is by Zoom, and I will be here on Wednesdays from 1 to 2 and 5 to 6, unless something else comes up. And if I can't make it that week, I will post it on the announcements and also on Slack to let you know that I won't be around for that particular one. So I think that's all the admin stuff I wanted to do. So unit 1. Unit 1 is all about language. And I know that in 1101, the first term of this first year writing sequence, you wrote about, education and all that kind of thing. Now you're going to get to talk about the language that you use in the different groups that you're a part of. Like Jamila Lysacott is talking about in Articulate, I Am Articulate, there's 3 groups that she's kind of a part of, right? There's the academy, there are her friends, there's her family, and she speaks differently in different contexts and different groups of people. Those are called what we call discourse communities. That's a fancy word. Discourse comes from the same roots as discussion, and it means to talk about, talk around, talk to and fro. And a discourse community is largely defined by how the members within that community talk to each other. And so this week, or these next 2 weeks, next 3 weeks, you're going to be writing a story about a discourse community that you're a group of, that you're part of, and how language works in that group. So, like, for example, I come from the TV and film production world, and one of the things I had to learn sort of on the fly was a whole bunch of language, like gobos and babies and best boys and all that kind of stuff. Just the technical words within that group. Without, if I didn't know them, people would think, well, I shouldn't know what she's talking about, right? So it has no reason to be in this group. We're not going to pay any attention to her. So that was one part of that discourse community. The other part was learning the language, how people talk on the set. That was a whole different thing. I had to learn how to cuss a blue streak. And that made me sort of part of that community. It was just one of the ways that people interacted. So those are some of the things that we think about when we're talking about discourse communities. Most discourse communities are all about getting things done, and they're all about including people, bringing people into that group, but also sort of excluding people sometimes. Like I said, if I hadn't known all those terms, I actually had to learn them on the fly because I didn't go to film school. I just suddenly was a TV writer producer. I wouldn't have been able to talk to like our director of photography or the director or even the actors very well. So it can be inclusive as well as exclusive. So you're going to talk about one of your discourse communities, and that's what this is all about. And you're going to be telling a story. Okay, this is not research. This is you. This is your life. You get to pick the discourse community that you're a member of. And we are all members of lots of different discourse communities. So we're gonna talk about that. So the general overview of this unit is we're going to talk about what is a discourse community, what are some examples of discourse communities, how does language work in some of those discourse communities, picking your own discourse community, and then writing a story, a narrative about it where you use that language or show us that language in action. Now, that said, I've had a lot of students, or had some students, write this particular paper using their language. I mean, I've had some of the nice little, characters from Asian languages. I had one person turn it in all in Spanglish, and I had to go get a friend of mine to translate it for me, but it was really fascinating. So feel free to use the language that you're talking about within that discourse community. I'll get there in a minute. But this one is kind of fun. It's 1,000 words. And let me go through the schedule. So I'm going to disappear and go share the screen here, if I can. That's my Zoom. So let me get over here to our site. Shut up, Zoom. There we go. Here we are. Right. So just so you'll know, this is where the units are. All the descriptions of each one of these units is right here. And then this is the overall schedule for the term. And what I normally do, I'll just do it right now. I'll show you. I'll show you. This was the first week. This was up to now. So this is where we are. So I will copy and paste this stuff and put it on the this part. I will put this on the announcements page, so you don't have to come look it up, but it's here if you want to, right? But these are the units, and we're going to unit 1. This is just a general overview of what this is, about why words matter. And I'm not going to read through this because that's boring. But it talks a little bit about some of the, specifically the things you're going to be reading, talking about the language of the community that you're a part of, and you're going to tell us a story, right? You can write in standard written English, but you don't have to. So, and you're going to make a point, which we'll see what the points are of these pieces that you're going to be reading and watching. This is what you're going to be grading on. Who would you want to read this besides me? And we're going to be reading this for each other. My idea of how to do quote unquote peer review is giving each other positive feedback. It's not a grammar hunt. I'm not looking for people to tell other people that they can't write, because that's ridiculous. The grammar stuff is my job. It's not your job. So don't worry about it. All right. We're going to give each other some positive feedback. Say this was really good because I like this, because, could you maybe give me more about this? So we're going to talk about how to do that. And so the audience is each other. We're going to be telling stories to each other. Organization, structure, the purpose is to sort of make it make sense, make a point to it. Now these mentor texts, the ones that things you're going to be reading, I'm not asking you to quote from them. I don't necessarily want you to quote from them. You can if you want. You absolutely do not have to. All I expect from you is just to read them and comment on them. So here's the word count, 1,000 words, and which is I don't usually have people having any trouble getting to 1,000 words. Trust me. Once you start telling stories about your community, just, you can put more than one story there if you want to. And it's due on the 21st of February, which is 3 weeks. And this, you can come back to these questions when you start thinking about what you want to write about. These are just sort of some prompt questions. And I will make mention of them again next week in the next video, so you don't have to think about it there. Now, you might notice I print this page on the bottom on a lot of these things. So you can either print it, you can download this as a PDF and stick it in a file somewhere. And that's why I put it here. So this is sort of the overall what we're doing in this unit. So let's go to the schedule and I'll show you what specifically we're going to be doing. Schedule. Okay, so the first thing we're going to be doing is in Perusall, there's a couple of assignments, a couple of reading assignments that these will be due on Sunday. These are pretty easy to read. They're kind of fun. Let me go over here and I'll show you. Oh, by the way, on the syllabus, people ask me couple people asked me about the term library paper that's in the course description. It's not my term. We're not doing that kind of library research. You may want to go to use the library to give you some information for your Unit 2 article, but this is not like the reflective annotated bibliography. So don't worry about that. Okay, so that's a little aside. So here are the assignments that we're going to be reading for Sunday. This one is an article. It comes from the same place that the Mike Bunn thing did that you've already read, or if you haven't read, you should read. And it's all about what is a discourse community. And it's about how this guy wanted to be a guitarist and the community that he joined. So just read through it, enjoy it, comment it just like you did the other stuff. There's that one. And then the second thing that we'll be doing, because this should tell you some more about what a discourse community really is. All right. And then the second thing, there's a couple of little articles in here. So scroll down like you did with the videos. This first part is from Queen Latifah. Yay. Who you calling a bitch? This is a really good piece. Now, somebody else scanned this in, but use of specifics, okay? But here it is. So read, and again, you do the same thing. You can highlight. You're supposed to be able to highlight. There we go. Cannot highlight that much at once. That's actually a good thing. Some people just get really carried away with the highlighting, and you don't have to. You can just highlight the first part of a sentence or the second part of a sentence and, make your comment. So this is her piece that you're going to read. You do not have to answer these questions. Not necessary. Don't want you to. This is all I want you to do is read what's already here. And the second part of the assignment, the next part is, go to the next part. Thank you very much. This is an older article, but it still works. It's still important. So if Jamila Lysacott was talking about 3 different discourse communities, culture, her home culture, her friend culture, and her working culture, Latifah is talking about culture in general, but mostly, well, I'm not, it's more complicated. I'm not gonna get into it. This one is about a woman who was joining the medical community and what she went through. And it's pretty short, but it's all about that language. Like, it's very short. So read it and make comments on that. I think you'll find it. We know what these are. It's like me learning the jargon of the film world. So this is all about the jargon of the medical world. So these are the 2 articles you're going to be reading and commenting on by Sunday night. Okay. And then for next Wednesday, this is the first part of ignore this. I borrowed this from somebody and that's still on there. I don't know why. I got to find, it's a good thing I looked at this, isn't it? Because this is not right. So I'll go find the rest of it. All right. There it is. I'll go find it and fix it because that's not what's supposed to be here. And I'm glad I caught it. So I'll fix that right away. But it's the first chapter of this book, and he's talking about a word that sort of explains a whole culture. Now, it's not an easy piece to read. I'll come back to this. And after you read it, you can go over to this. I want you to go over to this Padlet, and yay, Padlets. And there's a little prompt on here. What the heck is a fuku? And so you'll just answer this little prompt and post something on there about that. So that is what this is. And I will fix this immediately. Okay. So those are the readings that's really all the readings for the first part of this. There's also, most of you this is later on, have read Annie Lamott's piece about shitty first drafts. We'll go back and read this again. And then this is an article about how to leave really good peer response praise and not just the grammar police like I was talking about. But right now, all you have to think about for this week is these first 3 things right here. This discourse communities, the 2 parts of this one, and Fuku once I get it fixed. Okay. So those are your assignments for this week. And then these are the rest of them for the rest of Unit 1. You stop down here. Okay, so that is what we're doing with that. And let me go back over here. And I think that's pretty much it for this week. So this other stuff, there's a Padlet where you get to choose your discourse community. I'll talk more about this, but people add pictures or images that sort of symbolize their community. I'll talk about this later, about a student actually bring in swooshes that they, was a sneakerhead, but the swooshes on sneakers. It was really fun. It was back pre-COVID when I was doing this class in person. And then we'll do feedback and first drafts. And there's a really fun activity on visualizing a scene in your life from your discourse community. So that is pretty much it for this one. I'm going to stop sharing and come back and say hi and bye. I think that's it. If you've got any questions, DM me on Slack. I think people are liking it. The response I'm getting is I'm easy to find and I respond as quickly as I can. So I will go post this, and I apologize again if it's not embedded, but I'll see you later. Okay, bye.